Yo, what's going on, guys? And I am here. I actually just got back from Chicago. I was in Chicago for almost a week for the NBA Elite Camp, the NBA Scouting Combine. And you know what's funny is shout out my coworkers at Hoops Hype for some of this information, and shout out to Bobby Marks, who I've met Bobby Marks like 5 times. Bobby Marks knows who I am. Either way. So shout out Bobby Marks for some of this information. Really nice guy. He actually lives like an hour and a half away from me in Florida. So he lives in Naples. I live in Miami. But we're going to talk about the Cleveland Cavaliers today and what their offseason is going to look like. And let me tell you, I'm going to start this off. This video is the preview priorities. I'm going to tell you some intel I got. There are 2 things I've heard. 3 things I've heard. Obviously, you guys have all seen the Shams report, all that nobody give a crap about that. First and foremost is, if they do fire J.B. Bickerstaff, which I think would be dumb, who are they going to replace him with? They're too late in the cycle Kenny Atkinson's the only good coach out there. And I don't know if he's coming there. Second, I was told by somebody that the word on the street is that Donovan Mitchell might stay. And this is like in the media circle. I don't know if this is true or not. This is just what's being put out there, like around. Again, don't quote me. So we're gonna act like Donovan stays. And then the third thing is Darius Garland's contract's bad. Or from the outside looking in, Darius Garland's contract, the last year's like $45 million. Now this team went 48 and 34th. They have the 20th pick in this year's draft. And I think this is a team, Tristan da Silva really fits right there. Because he can play, I personally think he can play the 3, the 4, the 5, depending on like a small ball 5. He's more of a 4-3. But the thing is, the Cavs reached the second round of the playoffs for the first time since 2017. They've won 99 games in the past 2 years, the 5th most of any NBA team. And the Cavs are going to have 11 players returning, including their entire starting 5. And they can extend Donovan Mitchell on the first day of free agency to a 4-year, $208 million deal. Currently, they have Isaac Okoro, Isaiah Mobley, Monty Bates, and Pete Nance, all on restricted free agency. Damian Jones and Tristan Thompson are both unrestricted. Now, I think all right, look, if the Cavs do trade, they gave up 3 first-round picks and 2 pick swaps. We're going to operate that it's more likely that Donovan stays and they move Darius Garland, who the problem is that they went 15-4 in the regular season when Mitchell started at point guard, and they had a net efficiency of plus 8.6 when Mitchell did not play with Garland. The efficiency dropped to 4.4 when they shared the court, and prior to Game 5 of the second round, the Cavs were minus 3.8 when Garland and Mitchell were on the floor. And that's not, obviously you got to decide if Okoro is going to be brought back. You got to decide if you're going to extend it Mobley, which you should. So, the Cavs balance their cap ledger this season, staying below the luxury tax by $1.3 million. Next year is going to be the challenge this offseason, okay? Like, they have Craig Porter and Sam Merrill, who they're probably going to keep. They got to decide. Cleveland could be $10.5 million below the luxury tax, and if they use the 12.9 non-tax mid-level exception on somebody, that means they're probably going to move on from Okoro, and I think that's what they're going to do. Now, the priority is to figure out if Donovan Mitchell stays, you got to trade Garland. All right? It's just not working. And if Mitchell's not going to sign an extension, you trade Mitchell. But we're going to operate that Mitchell is staying because everybody else is saying that Mitchell, because we all know that they're going to have plenty of suitors, and that's not really interesting. So we're going to prioritize that their priority is re-signing Mitchell. Okay, they re-signed Mitchell. Okay, now that they prioritize that, they drafted Tristan da Silva. They've got 11 players coming back. They just added that guy. So they have 12 players. That's 3 roster spots you got to figure out. All right, those 3 roster spots. Obviously, we assume they're going to bring back all those guys on those 2 ways. And you replace Isaac Okoro with somebody in free agents. See who that could be. It's probably a two-way player who can provide some defense. Now, I think that could maybe a Torrey Craig type guy could interest them. So, will Cleveland give Evan Mobley a 5-year, $215 million max? And is that smart considering the new CBA limitations? Now, Mobley earned, I think, did he become all defensive team this year? I think Evan Mobley was all defensive team. And that means he's now eligible for that max contract. Which I think you have to bring back Mobley. Yeah, so Mobley's all defensive team this year. Well, he's all defensive team, I guess, a lot. Well, yeah, it's this year. And I think that's one of the bigger things when you look at a guy like this. Well, he's actually all defensive team last year, and he's probably going to be again this year. So I think if we can, he shot 46% from 3 in the final 12 games. I think the 3-point shot is there. I'm fine with Jared Allen and Evan Mobley together, but I do know that they rank 38th in percentile in points per 100 possessions when Mobley and Allen play together. Now, Dean Wade, they could re-sign or extend if they need to. I mean, I don't know if that really matters to be, but this is a team that needs an actual bench. I've talked about this at length in the past. Look, there's nothing wrong with Caris LeVert, but Caris LeVert can't be your sixth man. Caris LeVert really should be like your 7th or 8th dude. And they need a backup big. They haven't had one. I know in theory you could say that they've never really went out and got a backup big that's been worthwhile. I'm trying to think of something. I'm not saying go out and get Thomas Bryant. I don't think Thomas Bryant's going to be changing their fortune. But if they were able to get a guy, for example, the idea of a Bobby Portis would be really cool for this team. And he's the 6th man. That would be cool. I think that would really help this team. As well as the Cleveland Reserves shot 33% from the field and 24% from three-pointers. They've been trying to fix this three-point hole. And I know this is partially why JB Bickerstaff is on the block, is because the creativity on offense has lacked. And that has been a problem for this team. But at the same time, when you look at the roster, it's not entirely their fault that the construction, look, what is Bickerstaff supposed to do when you've given him 2 undersized guards and 2 non-shooting bigs? And then you just say the rest of the players are just going to be scorers or specialists. I don't think that's how you construct a roster, in my opinion. I don't think it's an effective way to construct the roster, in my opinion. Now, have there been questionable stuff? The report about JB Bickerstaff yelling at or being yelled at by Kobe Altman, I really don't think this is big. I think you got to run this back one more year. And I think, again, the whole thing you're trying to figure out this offseason is how can we improve this roster? Because theoretically, you call up the Spurs, you say, here's Darius Garland, send me Keldon Johnson, and Trey Jones maybe, and maybe you ask for one of the young guys like Blake Wesley or Malachi Branham to sweeten the deal. I'm not saying that's making your team significantly better, but I will say it does make the team a bit more lethal than it was before. I think if they can just figure out how to maximize the offense in the minutes that Donovan isn't there, this team can be good. Because defense has never been a question. This team can play defense. We all know that. But what always has been the question is, can they get over that hump? Do they have enough firepower? And the answer is consistently has been no. They don't. And I think that's the part that people get frustrated with. So I want to hear your guys' thoughts in the comment section. If you guys were the Cavaliers, what would you guys prioritize and why? As I really do believe that this is going to be a team that you can do this. But